I just saw this story out of Lynnwood, and I cannot imagine what a homeowner in Lynnwood must be thinking right now. The Lynnwood City Council just voted 4-3 to raise the levy to $7.2 million for 2025. So what that translates to is they're going to take more of your money. And what they're going to do, they have apparently some budget shortfalls in the city of Lynnwood.
They do, as all cities do, yeah.
Like a lot of cities do. Yeah. Our state, actually, Jay Inslee just announced yesterday, there's a $12 billion budget shortfall over the next 4 years, so that's a problem. So Lynnwood has a finance problem, and so they try to figure out, all right, let's come up with some creative ways so that we can fix this issue. And boy, did they get super creative. They just decided to take more people's money. Listen to this. This
I'm thinking creative ways.
Well, yeah,
I get
being
you.
Facetious there.
I loved it.
So the mayor Christine Frizzle and her supporters on the council have decided that a property tax increase is going to help them fix some of their issues, and the amount that they're raising property taxes by. I've never actually seen a property tax increase this high. Have you ever seen a number this high?
Well, from a percentage-wise, no.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but from a monetary number, it's not as bad as it sounds to me. But when they like you said, they went from a 4.275 million to $7.2 million
for the levy.
For the levy,
yeah.
7.2 million.
But here's what they're going to do: they're going to raise your property tax. If you're a homeowner in Lynnwood right now, listening. You may already know this, or you may not know this, but your property taxes are about to go up by 52%.
Yeah.
52%.
That's a crazy number.
It's not like they snuck in and said, hey, you know what? Why don't we raise property taxes by 10%? Everybody pull a little bit because we're in a tough time, inflation, yada, yada. If you read into this, what you actually figure out pretty quickly into the story, and you can read about this at mynorthwest.com, but this is yet another case where expiration of temporary funds has caused the city to, in my opinion, overspend, and now they're trying to figure out how to make up for the money that they're no longer going to get from these funds that they knew were going to be pandemic temporary funds.
Exactly. COVID pandemic temporary relief from the federal government.
Temporary COVID-19 relief funds from the federal government that they knew was going to expire, that they weren't going to be able to keep that money forever, and yet still, because this is what governments do, they just go ahead and lump that in and make that part of the budget. This happened to Seattle Public Schools, too. We were talking about this. Yeah. Seattle Public Schools is $94 million in the hole.
Right, partially because they signed a new agreement with teachers that was based on funding that they knew was going to expire.
And then, holy hum, what do you think they're going to do? Well, we're going to actually try to raise more money through levies, which is what the Seattle Public Schools is doing.
Close off some schools. Yeah.
And now Lynnwood is doing the same thing. They're going to try to just get more money from levies. They're going to try to take more of your money in property taxes. I'm so grateful that I moved. My wife and I lived in Lynnwood about 5 years ago, and we were right at the point in life where we were thinking about buying our first house. And we were looking all around, and we decided if we're going to make an investment, houses are big investments, and they're expensive.
Sure, you bet.
We decided it wasn't Lynnwood for us. There's just there was other things that we wanted. And so we found a place out in Snohomish County that we liked better. And so we moved over there. But Lynnwood, if I had bought a house in Lynnwood, this would be hitting me pretty hard today. But for our listeners, 52%, that sucks.
That's a big fat number.
That's a big fat number.
I got to admit that. But when they talk about the average homeowner and the average home price and property tax increase of 52%, it boils down to about $144 a year.
Okay.
That's only $12 a month.
I couldn't care less.
Taxes.
It could be $5, and I'd say it'd be too much.
34 cents or whatever a day.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
40 cents a day is too much?
I do think it's too much. Here's the problem. From every single person who owns a home in Lynnwood. So Lynnwood's a massive city. The problem I have with it is that every time that you have to balance your budget at the end of the month, do you go and take money from somebody else to do that if you're overspending?
My boss. I just go take it out of his purse.
How does that work out?
It doesn't work out at all.
No, it doesn't work out.
No, and the fact that they didn't look to cut any kind of budgetary expenses.
When things get tight around the Skorheim household, my wife looks at the finances and she goes, hey, you know what? This subscription that we have to Apple Plus, we don't need it.
Right.
This subscription that we have to whatever, we don't need it. We're cutting this out.
Right. No more eating out 3 times a week. We're eating at home. That's what you do.
This happened to us last night. I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick up dinner on the way home. She goes, no, you're not. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right. No,
I guess we're going to make food.
That's what fiscal responsibility looks like.
This is what normal people do.
Right.
Governments, we'll just take more of somebody else's money. This drives me nuts because here's the problem. They could have fixed this problem by making cuts. We actually have somebody in the Lynnwood City Council who talked about that. Council President George Hurst described that That's not even something they wanted to talk about. This is the council president. He voted against this, by the way. He was one of those votes that voted against this.
The 4-3 vote passed it, but he was one of the three.
He's one of the
negatives.
no's
Yeah.
because he said, yeah, maybe we should look at our own books before we ask somebody to open theirs for us.
It was always, you need more revenue. You need more revenue. Just clear that they weren't looking at spending cuts. I really thought that if they held the line basically for what they were spending in 24, that we would have been okay in 25. From the city, this is historic.
So they're just kicking it down the road, and they're saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to be more responsible. In fact, that's a pretty bad lesson. This is very unresponsible. You have money coming in that you know is not permanent.
Right.
Then you just write that in as part of your budget. And then when that money dries up, you say, hey, you know what? Let's just take it from that guy or take it from that guy. This kind of thing drives me nuts. This is Paul Cooper. He's a Lynnwood homeowner.
Started out with a nice little home, and now I got a nice little home with a great big tax bill on it. The more it grows, the more revenue they get. Why do you have to keep coming back to the Lynnwood resident who's a long time? I've been here for over 40 years.
I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I don't understand how cities keep getting away with this.
And they always say it's about public safety. The money's going to fund public safety.
That's
you
what
want
they
cops,
said.
don't you? You want fire department, don't you? You want public safety, don't you?
Council member David Partial, is that who we have here? Council member David Partial. Sounds like he voted for it. I don't know. But he says, I hear the number one issue I hear from Lynnwood residents is that they want public safety funded. These positions directly honor that request from our residents. So he's basically, saying exactly what you were saying.
Yeah,
this is about making it
safety,
safe.
Public safety, public safety.
Public safety.
How much do they spend that's not? I mean, what part of the budget is public safety? Why is that always the thing that's put in front of us?
Well, it's because it's the thing that they're trying to scare you with.
Right, exactly. It's fear-based. We have to do this.
If we don't get your extra 52% in property taxes,
we're not going to have enough cops or
we're not
firemen.
going to have a cop respond to your 911 call
Right.
at your house that you value so much, but you're not willing to pay an
We're
extra.
still doing the team building exercise down at Sun River for whomever, blah, 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 but we're doing all that. There's no cutting to our budget. We're just going to grab more of your money so you don't feel safe. So you feel safe at night.
They have said Lynnwood plans to conduct an efficiency study in 2025 to ensure that the tax dollars are being used wisely. I bet you they're not, and I bet you the study says that they're doing just fine. They're gonna tell themselves that we're spending it exactly as we should. We're taking more of your money.
What are the odds?
Jeez Louise. Doesn't this drive you guys crazy? Why this only drives me crazy? Why does it only drive me crazy?
No,
Doesn't it drive you crazy?
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't it make you step in and go, it doesn't make you say, Lynnwood, why can't you get your own financial house in order? Why do you have to ask other people's houses to get you in order?
I blame my parents for my lack of outrage right now. Because for me, I look at it's 34 cents a day, whatever. I look at those
Slippery
numbers.
slope, my friend.
I know that it is. You're right. But I was never raised fiscally responsible.
52% seems pretty ridiculous
That's
to me.
the scariest part of the story. 52%
It is.
increase.
And you're right. It's only $12 a month. $144 annually.
On
It's
average,
$12
yeah.
a month. Whatever. But still, that's $12 that are taken from somebody. $12 this year. What happens in 2026 when they can't figure out their finances? Then it goes up again, and it goes up again, and it goes up again.
If there should be some cap on it, like it can't be higher than the rate of inflation, or like there's some equation you could do where it's not higher than the rate of growth. Like if there's some
Any of those
there's
would be better
right?
than 52%.
Like, there's got to be some max. 52% feels like if they can do that 1 year, who's to say they can't do that every year,
that's
right?
Flaunting. That's flaunting their power.
I can't even, 52% seems like such a ridiculous, and again, it's only $144 additionally annually for these homeowners, average homeowner in Lynnwood, but still, 52% is such a massive number. I would be embarrassed to put that out there. I wouldn't vote for that in a million years just because I'd be like, guys, 52%, that's a lot.
It's very cavalier of me to say it's $12 a month. That's nothing. To me, to the homeowner that we quoted in the story, a 40-year resident in Lynnwood on a fixed income at that stage of his life, that's money that matters. That's an increase that is a backbreaker.
Every single little financial decision you make helps you in the bigger financial picture.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where they're just stepping in and saying, we're taking your money. And I don't like it.